It's Ebro in the morning. Y'all know I like to cover some serious things sometimes, not just the shenanigans. Rosenberg and Laura Stiles, where are they? Why are they not here? You know, everyone, it's real things happening out here. And sometimes I'm critical of my compadres, my comrades, because everybody likes to play the music, right? We talk the talk, but then when it's time to walk the walk, sometimes people not there, which is kind of the tone of how I felt the Justice or Else situation in March and gathering in Washington, D.C. some weeks ago was. Introduce yourself to the people, my brother.
Brother Nuri Muhammad, student minister of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And
Mr. Muhammad, you do a lot of the press and a lot of the media for the minister, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you've been going around speaking about and being active about what the next steps are following up to the Million Man March here 2015 and Justice or Else.
That's right. Well, you know, Brother Ebro, first of all, it's an honor to be on the show with you, my brother. We are thankful for you allowing us to have this platform to propagate the truth.
Yeah.
We have a bad legacy as a people. We come to marches, gathering, and meetings, and we say, man, that gathering was something, and then we go home and do nothing.
Right.
So we, in the understanding that legacy we have as a people and that bad history, to make Justice or Else not a moment but a movement, there has to be action items and marching orders and strategy for the next steps so that we won't allow this thing to be a moment instead of a movement.
So I want to reset for everyone. There were several 100,000 people at the mall there on Washington at the Justice or Else gathering, the Million Man March 2015. I went 20 years ago as well.
Yes, sir.
When I was 20 years old. I'm 40 now.
Yes, sir.
The first thing that hit me when I walked onto the mall, and I didn't think about it going into it, but the first thing that struck me being at both of them was the first time I was there, it was a time where black men and men from all backgrounds that wanted to be active in their communities, and specifically minorities that felt like we weren't doing a good job as brothers, fathers, and just men, and we needed to come together for ourselves and make sure that we were uplifting each other and our women and children and doing our job. That was the premise of the initial gathering.
That's right.
It struck me this time when I got there that it was a very, the posture and the energy was of anger, frustration, and pointing the finger at the oppressor.
Yeah.
And not only did no one liked that. I mean, there's nobody that could like the reality of what's going on right now, but it made me sad also, right? That 20 years ago, we were talking about progress and upliftment.
Yeah.
And into the future here, we travel and we're under attack trying to save our lives and, willing to fight or else.
Yeah, that's right.
Even was the tone, right? So is that just me or was that you as well?
I was blessed to be the same age that you were at the Million Man March. And when I was there, of course, naturally at that time, even today, at that time, black men were being portrayed in the media as 100% negative. And black men were being shown all over the world as being the bad dog of the neighborhood, looking like there was a campaign going on in the media to justify the incarceration and the extermination of black men.
And it was.
And it was taking place 100%.
It was post-crack.
Yep.
It was post-gangs.
Yep.
It
Boys
was
in the Hood.
All of that.
Menace to Society. All of the images was always putting us in that negative spot. And I've been making sure
to point it out, too. It wasn't just white politicians that were voting in favor of some of those laws that were putting black men in jail. It was black politicians. It was black activists voting in favor of that.
That's right.
Because instead of spending the money to keep our young people busy so that they would stay out of trouble, after school programs and things like that, just like today, those programs were being cut, right? You were leaving young men busy in their neighborhoods without giving them outlets so that they could learn something, so that they could provide for their families later on, move on into higher education, et cetera, et cetera. So that table was being set then.
Right. Well, see, see the wisdom of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. 20 years ago, God used him as a tool, vehicle, and an instrument by his divine perception of what was taking place. One of the things that I've learned in study of Scripture is that there's a difference between a man of God and a regular human being. Regular people, we have two sights, hindsight and insight. And to be honest, we always say hindsight is 20/20, so that's about the only one we see accurate is what already happened. But messengers of God, men of God, they have something, not just hindsight and insight, they have a third sight, which is foresight.
That's right.
Meaning they can see the future. And the minister, coming in that same line of divine of those that are written of in Scripture with foresight, knew that if this continued, then there would be the onright justification of the complete elimination and extermination of black people in general and black males in specific. Did you know, Brother Ebro, that right now there are more black males born than black females? But by the time the two reach the age 18, when you factor in homicide, suicide, and incarceration, black females outnumber black males 7-1. That means that the black male is dying at the rate of an endangered species.
Yes, it is. And it's been this way for some time.
So that at that time, the minister said, hold on. We as men need to atone, reconcile, and we need to take up the responsibility of being maintainers, protectors, providers, and brothers of one another in our community. So the mindset we brought 20 years ago was the introspective of self, to get ourselves together to do right. But the time we're living in right now, when you factor in Mike Brown, when you factor in Tamir Rice and Sandra Bland, when you factor in Freddie Gray, right here, Eric Garner, when you factor in that we are being murdered wholesale by the Ku Klux Klan.
That's dope.
AKA the police department.
Yeah.
And while we know that we are doing more killing of one another, however, there is a fundamental difference.
Yeah, there is.
See, when Ray Ray kills Tyrone, Tyrone's dead and Ray Ray gets life in prison. But when Officer McGillicuddy kills 19-year-old unarmed Tyrone, he doesn't get arrested, never gets prosecuted. In fact, they put him on paid administrative leave.
Right.
Next thing you know, some other Confederate-minded crackers that think like him set up a GoFundMe account, give him millions of dollars.
We've seen that.
Then he gets a book deal, goes in the private sector, making more money than he even made when he was a police officer. So it appears as though when you look at black on black, we punished. But when it comes to white on black or law enforcement on black, they almost get rewarded for killing us. So this time,
well, and you know, specifically to what you're speaking of, you know, that's not all people supporting that, but that group of individuals that think that is something to celebrate and support are doing that. Yeah. There are significant. I mean, look, I was out there this year. It wasn't just all black people. It was Chicano groups, you know, Hispanic groups. It was Native American groups. It was Asian groups, Pacific Islander. I mean, people are out there because, you know, brown people and even lower class,
whites,
because a lot of this is economic. Right, especially in America, you live in a capitalist America. Yeah. People in lower class are feeling like they're not given a shot to move from lower class to middle class, and the middle class is getting smaller.
That's where that spirit came from. That spirit of frustration, because when you look into the injustice that black people have received after being kidnapped and westernized and Caucasianized, robbed of our name, culture, religion, more ways, folk ways, norm, God. We've been catching hell for a long time in America. Yeah. We upset. You look at the Native Americans. They were represented. Yeah. Look at that. Their land was stolen from them. Smallpox put in the blankets. They on reservations. They injustice.
It's bad.
Then you look at women that go to work and they get less pay for the same job that a man does. They were upset. Then you have our Latino brothers and sisters that are being dealt with. Here it is. This is their part of their own land. And now they're called illegal immigrants. They were there. And they were upset. Then the veterans.
Yeah, there were a lot of veterans there.
The veterans was in the building.
Yeah.
All the veterans that come and go and fight normally for a lie concocted in government come back and can't even be
get a job,
integrated into society.
Well, and I think
so
that's
they
why,
were there.
And that's why I started this conversation by saying, you know, I don't want to I never took a position to focus on the people who did not support showing the organization and the event
Right.
Justice or else me. I always wanted to take a position of like, you know what? If you don't want to be a part of something positive, so be it. There's plenty of people who were there that wanted to be a part of something positive, that put their religious beliefs aside.
That's right.
That put their spiritual beliefs aside, that put their political beliefs aside, and said, you know what, we have a problem that we need to deal with, and we want to uplift one another. And that's why I wanted you up here, so that we can continue that conversation, because people are going to want to politicize it, right? Farrakhan is Nation of Islam and he has radical beliefs, or they believe this and they believe that, or they hate white people, et cetera, et cetera. I want to get rid of all that noise.
Yeah, propaganda.
I want to get rid of all that noise.
And that's what you seen, Brother Ebro. When you were there, you seen people of all classes, creeds, and color. The minister gave this example. He said that a Muslim, Christian, and a Jew were all out on the bank of a river, and a man was drowning. The Muslim cast out the rope, and his rope was too short to save the man. Then the Christian put his rope out. His rope was too short to save the man. Then the Jew cast his rope, and his rope was too short to save the man. Now they got one or two options. Either they can stand on the bank and argue over whose rope is the best, or use some common sense and tie all three of them together and save that man.
Right.
So we in a state right now as a people that we cannot afford for the NAACP, the Urban League, or the AME, the CME, or the Orthodox such and so, the Muslim, the Christian. No, we got to tie all these ropes together. And let's save our people from the sea of sin that they're drowning in.
And some of it is also specifically the young people, right? Because we don't want to look, while we know that police brutality is a problem, right? We know that that is a thing.
Yes, sir.
We also know that our public school education is a problem.
Right.
We know that funding for after school programs is a problem. We know that parental responsibility is a problem, because those are our children out there.
That's right.
Playing with them guns and shooting at each other. That's causing some of the police activity. So sometimes we still have to continue to be introspective in all of this noise, because we can get distracted by the noise.
You teaching, Brother Ebro.
We can get distracted by the noise, but that's not really going to solve what's happening on the block every night.
And that's why to listen to the minister's language. He said, justice or else is a war on two fronts. See, at the same time, we got to send a hashtag Black Lives Matter to the White House. We also got to send a hashtag Black Lives Matter to the trap house.
That's right.
And while we got to clash with and go to war with white supremacy, we also got to wage war on negativity.
Real talk.
Negative, negative is a special type of negative only black people know how to do to one another.
That's right. The super ignorant. So
when the math is done, every 3 years you have 2,000 to 3,000 brothers killed by police officers or correctional officers. But in that same 3-year cycle, 25,000 brothers are killed by their other brothers. So we got to fight the war on both fronts. And that's why when you listen to the close of the gathering on 10/10/15, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he gave marching orders. That's why he never called it a march. Every time people tried to call it a march, he was always saying, no, gathering.
That's right. That's right.
Because it's the subconscious message you get when you think that this is the march. A marches mean I start in one city, land in another city, or start on this day, and on that day when I get there, I have marched.
Or this block to that block.
Yeah, so when you think that marching, if this was called a march, we would have thought subconsciously that we actually crossed the finish line on 10/10/15. But 10/10/15 was important. But 10/11 and beyond is critical.
And that's why we're here today. You are listening to a conversation, myself, Ebro in the morning, and the brother Nuri Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Minister. And so now, the next steps after justice or else, and as we move into the future, are there larger conversations happening with other leaders that we just don't see, other than Minister Farrakhan? Is Harry Belafonte, is that a conversation? He's always been very active. Are they talking to each other? Are other thought leaders, whether they're educators, Ta-Nehisi Coates and these individuals that are leading the thought towards what the next stage is going to be of not just Black American, but just people, Black and brown people who live predominantly in the lower class in America. What are the next steps?
Well, of course, the minister has always been bigger than religion. He's always been bigger than labels and titles. He's about truth, wherever it comes from. So he's been summoning the great minds of our people for months now, organizing to figure out what will be the next steps, what is the goals and objectives we should set, what should be the marching orders. So between his communication and meditation with God, the Supreme Being, and his review of the program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, multiplied by the suggestions of the great minds among our people, like the Harib Belafontes of the world, then he's come up with about 6 primary instructions that he gave us as marching orders. Because when we went there, it was a gathering.
Mm-hmm.
So the march wasn't going to D.C. The march was leaving D.C., coming back home and doing something.
The activity.
So that, number one, he said, we've got to boycott Christmas this year. Up with Jesus, down with Santa. Let's take Christmas back from this fat imaginary white man in the North Pole in a tricked out fireman suit. Let's give it back to Jesus. And instead of spending our money this year on the biggest shopping day of the year, the day after Misgiving Day. I know what I said.
Black Friday.
Yeah, White Friday.
Yeah.
Because black people don't never get no money on it. But on Black Friday, the biggest shopping day of the year, let's hold our money back. Do you know last year, one of our brothers, Fahim from L.A., and a couple brothers with him, they put out a hashtag Blackout Black Friday.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep, and in a little Instagram flyer. Next thing you know, they said if Darren Wilson does not get prosecuted, let's boycott Black Friday. Do you know that a couple of brothers putting it out, that there was a shortage last year of $677 million from the traditional income collected on Black Friday?
All right, so stop right there, because this was a piece of the conversation that because when you get to the economic piece, hands get tied a little bit by us laymen. A, we don't have access to the information, okay, unless someone gives it to us. B, are the credit card companies, the economic analysts and things like that, when we say we're boycotting Christmas and that shopping season, and we're not going to go shopping, right?
Right.
That is specific to walking into stores? Is this online shop? Because here, there's other people that are making money. Every time you use your cell phone, that bandwidth costs. That goes to AT&T, Verizon. That's spending money. Anytime you put something up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, when you turn on your cable TV box, right? You're paying for that. And some of these, your Netflix subscription, right? These are all things, your gym membership that is automatically taken off your credit card, right?
Yeah,
all of that is going into the economy. So our awareness of what we're exactly trying to impact is my first question. My second question is, how and who is going to make sure that we get the right information that is credible information, not just some internet folklore, but like real data?
Well, what you're saying, Brother Ebro, is so good. Just in your spirit, you represent a higher grade of soldier that is willing to make a greater sacrifice. In our book, the Quran, the title of the believer is a Muslim, but there's categories of Muslim. You have the basic level is believer, then there's another category above that called steadfast, and the highest category of Muslim in the Quran is called the foremost. All of them Muslim, but the foremost are the ones that make the greatest sacrifice. What we are saying is that as the basic level sacrifice, do not buy any Christmas gifts. For Christmas, from Black Friday all the way through the first of the year, if they won't stop killing us, then we won't shop. So that's cyber, that's online. That's where don't buy no Christmas gifts.
Got it.
Now
we're not saying don't go shop for gas.
Yeah,
we're not saying don't.
Not yet. Now if you on that level, if you say, you know what, I mean, I'm cool. Christmas is not that serious with me. I like the idea of sitting around talking about the greatness of Jesus with my family and sharing brotherhood and sisterhood and reconciling differences. I like that whole kind of eating some good food. I like that better than setting up some pagan trees and all.
Et cetera.
Yeah, I'm cool. So you know what? I got to take it to another level, because I'm not just a regular level believer. I'm steadfast, foremost. So I'm going to, you know what? I'm not going to go nowhere that day. I'm not spending a dime nowhere for the whole week, whatever it is. So that's another level. But we're asking everybody as a basic level sacrifice to put down every dollar that you normally would give to buy a Christmas gift, and don't buy a Christmas gift.
Can we make a
this year.
compromise, brother? I don't know. I'm setting this up because on the 26th, them discounts. Can we get the 26 through the first though? Because when the discounts come in, you get that flat screen. Yo, you get the flat screen for like $300.
But you know, I was saying, I said, well, you know what? To be honest with you,
no, I can't get that.
Now imagine this though, brother Ebro. Imagine
I'm
if,
just asking, bro.
we understand, but imagine this: if we get enough of us that don't shop during that Christmas
They might
season,
shoot the discount. We might get the discount
come on
before
now.
Christmas, so we could call it off. We could be like, "Yo, prices dropped." We can
or it might come so much farther down the road that you'll be able to get it for less. And not only that, you might be able to go in February and they'll have your size.
Yeah.
Because half the time, you already know when you go in after the sales and stuff.
Can I tell you something? I participate in holidays. I have a daughter now, so last year was actually the first time since I was a child that I actually put up a Christmas tree because I'm not really into that. But for her and her mother and the mothers that want that spirit around, we did that and the dinner and all of those things because they wanted that, right? My mother's Jewish, so Hanukkah. My mom's never big Hanukkah. That's not her thing either. So that was never put on me like that. But that spirit of family, because people are looking for that.
Right.
And while the tree is, and you and I both know that that's an economic thing, and Santa Claus is an economic thing, for many, many people, that is their gathering moment. And it's going, and listen, and here's a part of the sacrifice that the conversation needs to happen. To sit around and not have those things and reflect is going to be painful.
Yeah.
But I think that's a part of what the process is knowing that you're going to look around your home and where you may have had things up in your home, this year you're not. And it's going to make you think about the pain that is going on.
That's right.
And not try to sweep that pain under the rug.
That's right.
Right? By putting up pretty lights in your house, because that oftentimes disguises the pain.
Yes.
Right? You put a bunch of gifts in gold wrapping paper under a tree with pretty lights on it. It makes you feel good about your life.
Yeah.
When in reality, you probably have a lot of things going on that you need to deal with and cleanse.
That's right.
But you're sweeping it under the rug by buying a bunch of shit that you don't necessarily need.
Brother, bro, you teaching, man. See, we are the only people on the planet that blame the white man for 95% of our problems, but still spend 97% of our money with them. We, the black people, we are the leaders in unnecessary spending. You know what unnecessary spending is? It's buying stuff you don't need with people with money that you don't have from people that you don't even like to impress people that you don't even know. So that's us. So I'm saying that to say that let's put an end to retail therapy. Keep the family time. Keep the dinner. Keep the love. Keep the unity. Let's just get rid of the paganism and let's withhold our dollar as a discipline and say, you know what? I'm not spending. I'm doing this for Mike Brown. I'm doing this for Tamir Wright. I'm doing this for Trayvon Martin. I'm doing this for Eric Garner. I want to extract some of my money. And to be honest with you, withholding your dollar is a painless sacrifice, if you can even call it that, because you're not spending. You're not losing anything. You're saving it. Then did you know, brother, they found out that we spend almost half of our income as a people per year just during the Christmas season. $400 billion. Now, if we hold that money, after it, we might be able to invest that money into some national treasury that can buy us land.
Brother, you're getting too crazy.
Now, hold on.
You're expecting me to invest
now. What if
you're expecting me to...
We'll have it set up.
You're asking a lot, brother. You're asking people to not only change their gathering habits, but also think with foresight.
Yeah,
we're asking a lot in one sitting here now.
But we can do it, brother.
Right.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something.
I'm just being facetious.
I understand, but you know there was a revolutionary statement made by Magic Johnson whenever he was mentoring the young athletes, and he dropped something on television that I thought was so heavy and profound. He said, "I want to show these brothers how to take the brain they built in basketball and use it for business. Because whenever it comes to becoming proficient in sport and play, we've got discipline.
Because it's fun.
Yeah, and because we know it's money attached to it.
And there's money on it.
As well.
Quick money, too.
But I'm saying that to say,
like,
can we take the brain that we built in basketball and use it for business and for revolution? And employ the same. See, 1,000 free throws a day takes discipline. Suicides take discipline. 6 Minute Mile takes discipline. Two-a-days take discipline. All the stuff we do to become proficient at sport and play, let's have that same mindset for something that's for the good of our people. And if we bring the discipline we put in sport and play, or the grind mind we bring the hustling to the revolution, then blacking out Black Friday and boycotting Christmas is a small thing for people that have shown we have it when we want to use it.
And for that, look, if you still want to have your gifts, right, and that's something that's very important to you and your family, just buy them before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that, I guess. But the biggest thing for us,
I know that's going to be. I'm trying to find ways for people to feel like they can be involved, because we are asking people to make a very serious sacrifice, and we only got to marching order number 1 in this last 5-minute conversation.
That's right.
So I'm just putting it out there so that because my thing is, I want, as we move forward, man, I just want families and young people to understand economics, right? And understand, because we live in America. America is very selfish by nature. You're almost bred to be selfish because of capitalism and thinking about, well, I got paid, but I got mine. That's the mentality. I got mine. I'm doing what I need to do. And a lot of times that it flies in the face, especially right now, of working on what is happening in our communities as a collective.
Yeah, but see, one of the things we lack most in our community, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, we're missing is discipline. You know what discipline is? Discipline is doing what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like doing it or not. Yeah. So if I say that I'm going to discipline my dollar, I know it's going to hurt a little bit to do so, but I'm doing what I should do when I should do it, whether I feel like doing it or not. And we're doing it for a cause bigger than ourselves. So the real gift to a son is not something from Toys R Us. The real gift to a son is being a father in your child's life, a mother in your child's life. And if you've got little children, if we was keeping it real, we'd spend money on big expensive gifts, give them the gifts, leave the room, come back, they playing with the box.
The paper.
Come on now.
My daughter love the paper.
I
can get a paper.
Give it
I can get a roll of gold wrapping paper. That's
get her some wrapping paper. But the point is, why do we need the enemy to carve out a calendar day in the year for us if we are free people and make our own holidays and we celebrate and honor whenever and whoever we want to, the way we want to do it? So
marching order number 2.
Marching order number 2, he asked for 10,000 fearless men and 10,000 fearless women to become peacemakers in the hoods of America. Let's go into the community and let's do our part to teach our people a knowledge of self. See, the formula to stop black on black crime is simple, but not easy. All it takes, the minister said this, what you know you love, and what you love you do for. So knowledge of self produces love for self. Love for self causes you to do for yourself. And see, you are brother, Ebro, you are my brother. Base word of brother is other. You are my other self. So if I know me, love me, and I'm doing right by me and you my other me, I'm going to treat you the same way. That stops all black on black crime right there. So the 10,000 fearless have the job to go in and teach that and show our people how to be. And we've got to come in and expose the rogue police that come in and kill our people and say a Crip did it. Kill our people, say a Blood did it. Kill our people and put a stolen gun on them and say he had a weapon. Kill our brothers in the alley and put dope in their pockets saying he was selling. Or
even just sell the dope and the guns.
That's how they do. So we got to expose them. So we coming to regulate. 10,000 fearless are coming to regulate the affairs of the hood. We're showing back up to be the lions.
Yeah, because when I was coming up to find, they was on the corner every morning, and walking to school. Yeah, and asking you about the map, selling the final call.
Yeah, our elderly have a right to walk the community without being harassed or bothered. And our children, the minister's mindset is this: we may not see eye to eye on everything, but that don't mean we can't walk arm in arm on some things.
That's right.
And I know one thing that every man should agree to is that our children should be able to get on the bus in the morning in every hood without having to worry about some pedophile coming to mess with them. So if we are regulating our hood, 10,000 fearless, this is not Muslims, this is Muslims, Christians, this is Jews, this is atheists, agnostic. It doesn't matter your religious background. You are of the fearless ones coming to regulate affairs. Now we got to be in the hood making sure that the elderly have safe passage, our children have a way, the hood stays clean, and that we can regulate the violence that goes on black and stop rogue police. 10,000 fearless women have to come in the community teaching military science, showing our sisters how to handle the corrupt police and even how to handle corrupt men that might try to take advantage of her. Then they have to learn how to rear children, take care of a husband, sew, cook, in general, act at home.
And the husband got to learn how to take care of their woman too now.
Well, that's a big thing, because you can't be a part of the fearless if you're not a real man.
That's right.
And you're not a real man if you don't take care of the children that you brought into the world and the woman that brought those children into the world for you. That's what men do. So when the lion shows back up, I don't know if you've ever watched National Geographic.
All the time, one of my Discovery Channel.
When the lion shows up, everything get right. The hippo go underwater. The alligator hide behind the tree. Giraffes
one
take
of my
off
favorite
running.
clips is, like the hyenas be messing with the lady. Y'all ever seen that? The hyenas always mess with
the
the
white
lioness.
people.
And they be messing with the lioness all the time. And then when the male lion shows up and starts snapping them hyenas' necks, woo, that's my favorite.
You know the hyenas roll like white police officers. If you study it, hyenas always come in numbers. They never attack the lion by themselves. They always come in numbers. Well, that's same how it is when the police show up. They always show up in numbers. But if we are the lions in the community and we come presenting ourselves as a living sacrifice to regulate the affairs, when we roar, meaning we saying something significant to the young soldiers in the streets, and when we have our own claw to physically regulate the affairs, the concrete jungle will be back in divine order. That's two.
Marching order number 3.
Marching order number 3. The minister said that we have to, what you said, we have to take over the educational system. Right now, the minister is forming think tanks with great black educators in cities all over America, where we're coming up with a curriculum that's for black children that we will institute and enforce in the public school system in every ghetto in America.
So let me ask you this. Why wouldn't we make sure that that's in our homes and parents are being active with their homes? Because me personally, I believe that one of our shortcomings is that we don't spend enough time learning and teaching our children and learning with our children.
That's big, Brother Ebro. Do you know that our great scholar, Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu, did a research paper on the factors influencing black youth? Do you know when the math was done, he said the average black father only spends 7 minutes a day with their child, and the average black mother only spends 34 minutes a day. So when mother and father put together, we got 41 minutes.
Less than an hour.
Come on now,
with
24 hours in a day? So
and there's several factors,
minds?
Working 2, 3, 4 jobs, whatever it is, video games, social media.
Yeah, capitalism helps to take you out the game.
That's right.
But
I think some of that program needs to be on us.
But that's what I'm getting to.
Even if you're spending your Saturday and Sunday on it.
That's right. Well, see, to be honest with you, a school is not the producer, it's the institution of reinforcement.
Yes.
When you graduate from college, people say that this is my alma mater. Do you know alma mater is German for other mother? So the school is supposed to be the other mother, not the primary mother.
That's right.
The other mother. So we have a responsibility, irregardless to what goes on in the public school system. We have a responsibility to be educating our own children, but keep it real.
We got to hold them accountable because we're paying taxes now.
There it is.
We're paying taxes.
We're
hold them
paying
accountable
for this. And see, even Betty Crocker has enough sense to know that you have to do different recipes to get the same result depending upon what location.
Yeah.
Do you know the recipe for a chocolate cake is different in New Orleans than it is in Denver, Colorado?
Because of the climate.
One's the mile high city and one's the lowest point. So you got to change up the ingredients to produce the same result. So it is with black and white education. Yeah. You got to change the recipe that is given to a black child to produce a great son, great daughter, a great man and woman, different than what you teach to a white child. So we need in our schools a specific curriculum for us. That's marching order number 3.
Number 4.
Number 4, he asked us, go and get you a name. Get rid of your slave name. Get you an
go.
African name or get you an Islamic name that comes from God. No, you don't got to go downtown and ask for permission to do it because they didn't ask for permission to give you the slave name to identify you as a piece of their property.
That's right.
So you don't have to go do no paperwork.
Jewish families, and a lot of other cultural groups have their own Jewish names, etc. names. Like my mother and father named me Ibrahim Jamil. They gave me an Arabic name because they understood the relationship between the Arabs and the Jews from the beginning, and they wanted that to be a part of my learning as I got older. But so I never really went out and got a Hebrew name. That is my name, Ibrahim Jamil.
And a good name. See, the prophet Isaiah said this: a good name is better than silver and gold. Well, at that time, silver and gold was a medium of exchange, something used to get something out of the world from. Well, what is it saying? A good name is better than silver and gold. When you give your child a name that means something, then that child has walking with them every time they sign and every time they speak, every time someone speaks to them, a constant reminder of a meaning and a definition that they have to live up to. So they can exchange the definition of their name in the world like you would exchange silver, gold, or money to extract something from the universe. So he said that was number 4.
Number 5.
Number 5, he said we must register our people to vote, in particular young people.
That needs to actually, can I keep 100? Can we move that up to number 3?
Well, I mean, there's no specific order to it. I'm not giving it in the exact order.
I'm just giving it in the order. People got to prioritize something because, listen, the people who are in power,
come on,
whether we like them or not, the way the game is constructed,
right?
And if we're going to be successful, like any other game that you playing, football, basketball, baseball, there's rules to the game, and not participating to vote and thinking that you're going to see some change by not doing that. Listen, you may have your own way of going about it, but we got to we got to do things simultaneously on 2 roads. You got to get out here and vote, man.
What the minister's saying to us, he's saying that when we register to vote, he said, I don't want you to register as a Democrat.
No.
Or a Republican. Y'all didn't hear me.
Independent.
Register as an independent.
I'm an independent.
And then you hold your vote until the candidate that you are looking at voting for is talking about justice for us. Or what are they willing to do when they get into office to try to get America out of the divine judgment of God?
And
now,
more specifically, local politics. The politics things going on in your community around the corner. The community gatherings at the local schools on your block.
That's right.
Who is making decisions on your block of how the tax dollars are being spent?
That's right.
And who are they going to is way more important than who's sitting all the way up in the pretty White House.
And that's what the minister has taught us. He said politics is always local. So you stay and you keep your ear to the concrete, where you find out who's talking about what. And then, see, our problem is that we vote people in based upon promises that they make.
And then when they get there,
and then they never do it. And you know why? Because we never hold them accountable to make sure they do it.
Well, because there's people who hold them accountable, and that's on your local level.
Right.
Your locals hold them accountable at the top.
Yeah, we may not have the money to lobby with, but we've got a voice, we got a vote that we can use as our lobby list. So that's
we're gonna have we'll have the money if we don't spend it on Christmas.
There we go. Come on now, we can lobby now.
And number 6.
The number 6 action item the minister put out there, he said this. He said, I've been doing studies and I found that the Asian community is leading now in the amount of time that a dollar remains in their community. The dollar remains in the Asian community 30 days, Jewish community about 17 days, but in the black community, the dollar only stays in our community
1 hour, not even.
About at the most, look at this, 36 hours. That means when a Negro get a check on Friday, 24 hours later, that's Saturday evening.
It's gone.
By Sunday morning, money gone. So we don't even make it through the weekend keeping our money with ourselves. So he said to us, what has made the Jewish people so powerful in this way? He said they took the scripture of Solomon, Proverbs 6, verse 6, to heart and acted on it. And we must do the same. You know what it says?
Nope.
It says in Proverbs 6, verse 6, it says, study the ant, thou Negro, No, it don't say that. It don't. This is not. This
I
is
was
not.
like, really? They put that
Hold
in
on.
there?
This is not the King James version. This is the LeBron James translation. But it says sluggard.
Yeah.
But it says study the ant, learn of her ways, and become wise. So because the Jews have studied the ant and have practiced that as community living, they have been able to be successful.
Common unity.
So he's saying to us, study the ant. You know what's interesting about an ant?
They're
Ants.
very strong.
Did you know that an ant? Yeah,
They are very strong.
Did you know that an ant does not know what the total picture is going to look like that they're working for, and that ants don't even know the assignments of the other ants?
They just do their job.
That's what they do. They do their part. So because they have their energy 100% focused on their specific assignment and its deadline, they never walking around talking about, why come, when is that ant going to do what they supposed to do? Why come that ant? Well, how long is this going to take? What are we even? They don't even care about the biggest picture nor the assignment of others. They have their energy 100% committed to their specific role in the colony. Well, what if we thought like that?
Well, the thing I appreciate about this conversation is we spent most of our time talking about us and not talking about them.
Yeah, well, and that's
I
where
think
it's all at.
And I firmly believe that you beat oppression by being focused on yourself and becoming so powerful and self-sufficient that they can't stop you. Matter of fact, I firmly believe in America, they just want the money at the end of the day anyway. So if you controlling your money and you're buying things and controlling your family and you have common unity, once you gain enough power, it doesn't matter anyway. They're never gonna let us run everything. That's never gonna be a thing.
Well, you know.
But we can control us. We make up 13% of the population as black people.
The beauty of it, you know, in scripture it says like this, that God would take the kingdom from whom he pleases and give it to whom he pleases. So there's a law of use that exists in the universe. No matter what religion you're a part of, what you don't use, abuse, or misuse, you will lose. So when you deal with people that are in power, that have been misusing their power, abusing the people, then by the law of usury, you getting ready to lose that power. So it's only a matter of time that God is going to make, as he said, the bottom rail the top, the last the first, the least the most, the stone that all the builders rejected will become the cornerstone of the house. And the oppressed that have been on the bottom will be on the top as the new rulers. So we got a time coming.
Yeah.
In the very near future.
And let's make sure that we'll be on top. Let's make sure we're prepared.
And let's make sure that we do all we can now to be prepared. For proper preparation prevents a poor performance.
And specific, when I say we, I mean those of us that have in America, whether you're black, you're brown, you're Asian, Native American, whatever it is you are in the lower class. When I say we, people who want to see this country, right, be better.
And that's those that are for justice, those that are for freedom and equity. This is what the minister is telling us. The march this time was justice or else. It was not about a person or a nationality or a race. It was about a principle. So the call was made to anybody that wants to see justice. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people of goodwill to be willing to sign on in unity with one another and stand as a solid wall against tyrannical leadership, oppression, and injustice wherever it is. Because guess what? Even if you say that I don't see none of my people being killed, Dr. King says it like this: injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
That's right.
So if it ain't there with you yet, and you don't stand when it's with somebody else, know that it's coming to see you too.
The brother minister Nuri Muhammad from the Nation of Islam. Salute to all you brothers for coming by and having this conversation. And just keep us looped on the progress. And I guess principle number one, marching order number one is
boycotting Christmas. Let's black out Black Friday and boycott the Christmas season. Up with Jesus, down with Santa.